divers down. They have not returned. I've been 2 hours past their tanks.
The goal was to go out and have my dad basically drive the boats. That way the four of us could dive. Dan's two younger sons stayed in the boat with my dad. My dad has had plenty of experience with boats, fishing, everything, but it's not like he was a regular at diving.
One is 64 years old, ex-Navy SEAL. One is 26 years old. One is 16 years old. One is probably 40, 46, 47.
I should be dead.
We were out to go spearfishing. Me and Evan went first to the bottom, and then Ben and Luke came after us.
By the time we actually had visibility of the bottom, we had drifted probably about 100 yards off of where we were supposed to be. As we were coming up, we hit a thermocline. When you hit that water, you're moving. By the time we hit the surface, I recognized we might be in trouble.
Initially, they could see their vessel, but were drifting rapidly away from it, and their vessel was heading in the opposite direction looking for them.
And they already had their signal buoys up, and they're blowing their whistles and screaming. We start blowing our whistle and put up our signal buoys, and we
Start
can't
like
get,
swimming towards it.
Yeah, we can't get a hold of the boat, and it's not that far. At a point before it's too late, we stripped gear on Evan and Luke and said, just swim as hard as you can towards the boat with nothing but, you know, a suit and fins. Couldn't get close enough to get their attention.
We like took a break from swimming, and Luke looks at me and he's like, dude, this is bad.
So the boat captain, after looking for those divers, eventually called the Coast Guard. Coast Guard went into action, launching a 47-foot motor lifeboat out of Coast Guard Station Oak Island, an MH-60, and a C-130 out of Air Station Elizabeth City.
Basically, our software simulates a drift and does the possibilities of where those search objects could be. So these are the search patterns that were flown by the helicopters and C-130s and small boat out of Oak Island. Total of 1,800 square miles searched.
There was some panic there at some point amongst everybody when we lost sight of the boat.
We were swimming, and I was just head down trying to get to that tower. It was like a movie. This shark came up and like slashed around right in front of me.
Just this big splash and, you know, an eruption of water right at him. And he goes, "There's a big shark!" And immediately stuck my head in the water, and all you could see was just, you know, a very fast gray object moving in different directions.
That was when I gave up. I kind of made the decision that we weren't going to be swimming and kicking, that we were just going to stay in a ball. Luke and Ben they were probably either hypothermic or getting there, so it was kind of getting a dire, and the wind and the waves picked up. And so as evening came, it got rough.
And it was probably about then that, you know, you lose a little bit of hope, but you don't lose all hope. So we talked about all kinds of things, trying to pass the time. Evan talked about food more than anything.
Floating in the water, I'm like, y'all, a Cinnabon would be so good right now.
So Evan was impressive.
He was a rock star.
Yeah.
He kind of became a man in one day.
After a few hours, you're sitting thinking in the water. It's like the worst that could happen, and you kind of accept it. And I wasn't too scared after that.
Search and rescue is a factor of time. We needed time. Our search area ended up being 1,800 square miles.
It's a dive light that has an SOS mode.
Dan is actually trying to grab it from me, and he's like, "Don't drop this."
And then another crew member mentioned that he thought it might have been like a SOS signal.
And then it starts to get closer, and it was just like, hallelujah. I mean, we're going to be saved. It was crazy.
And then it turned the opposite direction. And we thought, oh no, they didn't see us.
And then it did like some super big circles around us. And
We were scared.
it was,
We were scared.
because we're like, don't leave us.
And all of a sudden it turned back again and started heading toward us.
So we were all wearing night vision goggles. If we weren't wearing those, I think even with the radar and the FLIR ball, we wouldn't have found them.
On their thermal imagery camera, they could only pick up 2 of our
That's
heat
right.
signatures.
That's right.
2 of us were hypothermic enough to where they thought it was 2 dead bodies.
Coast Guard 2013, we just dropped a flare. This is from a SAR case earlier today for 4 missing divers. We have located them in that current position.
Then they swung back around again and then threw a life raft out that hit the water and inflates us there, and we had all our energy back for sure.
Our command center and the C-130 then contacted the USS Porter, who happened to be transiting in the area, a Navy ship. So the USS Porter was able to rescue the divers from the life raft, rendering first aid.
Our Coast Guard boat met up with a Navy boat and transferred them from the Navy to us, and then we were able to bring them back in from there. Just being able to see them reunite with their family, it was very reassuring to know that we had done everything we could and that it turned out the best way that it could.
After sure loss, 17 hours at sea, floating and getting to see your family again is a miracle, and I was blessed.
I'd definitely like to say thank you a lot.
There's nothing you can really put on a life saved apart from thank you.
You really need to hear you changed a world of lives by the extra effort, and the Coast Guard did that for us. It's very easy sometimes, even in a job where you're serving others, to kind of go in and day out, now I'm tired or whatever, or I got to get home. But the guys that day that saved us didn't do that. Because of that, we're here and we're alive, and we get to, enjoy the world and enjoy our family.